I'm Bryan.
And I'm Stacey, and today we're going to be reviewing
Creepshow
from 1982, written by
Stephen King.
He wrote the whole thing, right?
Yeah, well, he wrote the screenplay. These are all based on real plots from an actual magazine or comic book in the 50s.
So this movie is broken up into an intro, outro story, and then 5 little movies.
The piece that bookends the movie is about a young boy who loves his Creepshow comic books, can't get enough of them. And any young kids had this happen, where his parents found his dark secret and were pretty mad at him.
And he was like, "But Dad, I found porn in your room." And Dad's like, "That's not the same." The mother is like, "Honey, maybe you're being a little hard on him." And Dad's like,
That's why God made fathers. And then he drinks like 75% head beer.
yeah, fathers are great at punishing their boys, but not at pouring beer.
The fun part about this wraparound is we get to see like the comic book cover of each different vignette.
Yeah, there's a lot of little animated parts.
The first one,
Father's Day.
the story sets up this family, just the shittiest people,
Yeah, it's a mother and her 2 children, and they had a rich grandfather.
It's like these kinds of people, you know? Like the unironic, collared up, like I own boats, I own multiple boats people. What did they call a scone?
A scone.
Pass the
Pass
scone.
the scone.
All I know is I wanted them to die, and this movie
They do.
lives up to expectations.
Ed Harris from Westworld and The Truman Show is in this movie as well. He's a son that's married into the family. But not everyone's there yet. Aunt Bedelia's coming, and she's got a backstory. Aunt Bedelia was the daughter of a very rich man. He earned a lot of money in bad ways, but he didn't want to share it with anybody. For some reason, he killed his daughter's boyfriend, which she was very upset with. And then there was this one Father's Day where she got real upset at her dad because he just kept screaming,
Give me my cake! I want my cake!
oh, over and over again. So he was worth killing. So she did. She killed him.
All he wanted to do is live to be 1,000 years old, eat cake every day, and slam his cane on his chair. Years in the future, she has a drink by the grave of her father. She kind of shits on her father, figuratively. But then she drops the whiskey, which kind of pours onto him, and brings him back to life.
It's like a zombie.
So don't pour one out for your homie unless you want your homie to come back and maybe murder you.
He comes back, kills her. That's fine. She didn't seem like a great person.
So he starts killing the family, turns one of them to a big cake somehow, just their head.
Kills Ed Harris, who's just the son-in-law, who didn't really do anything wrong. But he was stupid. He went looking for Aunt Bedelia, and for some reason ended up laying in the empty grave.
Yeah. Then he's in this grave, and he's like, I should get up, and because someone's pushing the tombstone down on top of him.
Zombie grandpa.
But then you see Zombie Grandpa in front of him, which means Zombie Grandpa has psychic powers because he can move the gravestone.
But he has every opportunity to get out of that grave.
A lot of time.
Or the tombstone hits him on the head.
It's like he was processing everything in his life before he decided to get up. Maybe he had a bad back. So then we went on to the sort of campy, sort of fun vignette called
The Lonesome Death of Geordie Verrill.
This one stars Stephen King. He actually...
Pretty much only Stephen King. His character is like a dopey farmer that lives alone. Maybe he's an alcoholic.
For sure is an alcoholic.
Okay, yeah. He did drink an entire pitcher of Screwdriver.
Yeah, I guess Stephen King was like, that's sort of who I am right now, so I can play that.
This guy's out in his field and he sees a meteor.
He sees this meteor, he's like, oh man, I can make money off this.
$200!
And not a cent less. We get to see his imagination, what he's thinking about. Like, for instance, when he's thinking about, like, I could sell this down to school, and he imagines himself as a big shot, being a big businessman, selling it for his price at the Department of Meteors, I think it was called.
His acting is very over the top, but I think it fits the character and like what the vignette was going for.
He sees a meteor, and like every discerning, smart horror movie protagonist, he decides, hey, I should touch that with my hands. Burns his hand, also gets spores on his fingers. He pours water on the meteor to cool it off. It cracks open.
Now he's like, fuck, I got half a meteor, they'll never take this.
And that was actually kind of funny to see him like shyly like hide his meteor behind his hat. He goes back into his farmhouse, but then just everything starts overgrowing with this weird alien like plant fungus stuff. At some point he realizes what's happening before maybe it would be like too late when it's just on his fingers. And he imagines again going to the doctor and then saying, we gotta cut off your finger. So instead of facing that reality, he decides just to drink a ton of booze and take a nap. At the end of this story, he's just covered head to toe in this moss stuff, and he blows his brains out.
With a gun.
Yeah. And then it's suggested that these plants are gonna take over the whole planet. So it gets dark, real dark.
Nice. It was fun.
It was fun. I like that it got so dark. I saw that as a kid, and it kind of messed me up for a while.
For a while?
I'm still thinking about it.
The third is probably my favorite. It's called Something to Tie You Over, starring Ted Danson and Leslie Nielsen.
It starts off with Leslie Nielsen going to Ted's house and saying, hey, character name, I know you've been sleeping with my wife and you plan on running out with her. Well, I'm crazy and I've got her held hostage somewhere and you come with me or she gets hurt.
So he goes with him to the beach, which is where Leslie Nielsen seems to live, where he thinks his girlfriend, mistress, side piece is being kept. He takes her back out to the ocean and there's a hole dug.
He's like, you get in that hole.
And he's got a gun.
Don't call me Shirley. That's a different Leslie Nielsen movie. If someone's pointing a gun at you and they say something like, bury yourself in this hole, up to your head, just don't. Take the bullet.
Yeah, it is a much faster death than what happens.
I mean, what good scenario could possibly happen, right? Like, if it's a party hat on you, like, this is an elaborate joke. No, it's not going to be good.
He did tell him, I don't want to kill you, I just want to restrain you, and then you'll see the girl. Which was true. He, put a TV down on the beach with some cords he'd rigged up. And he had video of the other girl also buried up to her neck in sand.
And so Ted Danson watches his girlfriend, the other guy's wife, die as the waves hit her.
Oh.
Leslie Nielsen's weird ass is sitting in his giant mansion where he's got a bunch of video surveillance stuff set up so he can watch.
And then we see he's got a whole snuff closet full of other movies that he's presumably made of murdered friends and family.
And he said something about, the maid's been moving some of these around. Is your maid into your snuff stuff?
Yeah, maybe don't have a maid if you're killing people.
Or say, hey, don't touch this cabinet. That's just for me.
So Ted Danson presumably drowns via wave death.
He gets covered in the waves and you see him under there.
And his eyes kind of go. Then Leslie Nielsen goes back to dig up the body and it's not there.
Must have washed away, that's it. That's what happened, it washed away. But that night, an eerie fog makes its way into his mansion. And then Ted Danson and Leslie Nielsen's wife show up as really decomposed dead people.
Kind of looks like avatars.
Yeah, if avatars had a real bad day with some fire.
And they were like, we're back. What did they say?
Take you to the beach. Leslie Nielsen, of course, tries shooting them with the smallest gun I've ever seen. I feel like that gun belonged on the end of a keychain. Of course, they're ghosts.
They're already dead.
They take him to the beach, bury him, and he says stuff like,
I can hold my breath a long time.
a very long time. Next is the crate.
We start at a party of some university professors. One of them's got the worst wife imaginable. She just shits on her husband. Where would you be without me?
Everyone hates her. I don't know why the guy married her.
I don't know why he stays with her. I don't know why she stays with him. She doesn't think very highly of him.
No.
But she's loud at the party. She drinks a lot. It's clear no one likes this woman.
Clearly an alcoholic, too.
Yeah.
She clearly was driving under the influence.
And he fantasizes about killing her a couple times.
The B storyline, of course, is the crate. A janitor at the school finds a crate underneath the stairwell. It's been there for a long time, from the 1800s, in fact, from an expedition to the Arctic.
So he calls this other professor who doesn't have a wife, but is into having sex with students.
Yeah. They open the box together, and a big-ass Yeti comes out.
Yeah, some kind of snow monster from Antarctica.
Obama.
Obama.
Kills the janitor.
Sucks the janitor up into the box. Blood everywhere.
Then it goes on to kill another person, but for whatever reason, it likes to go back to its little crate.
Yeah. They get the crate back under the stairs.
So the professor's just losing his shit.
2 people are dead. There's blood.
It wasn't me, I promise. And his friend's like, I understand. And he drugs him so that he passes out. And then he goes and he cleans up all the blood. So at first you're like, what are you doing?
Trying to help his friend because he thinks he killed some people.
But it turns out he did this all to lure his wife in so that she could go investigate the crate, and then she dies for realsies. Goes back to his professor friend and says, hey, don't tell anyone I killed my wife with a Yeti monster, and I won't tell anyone that you've been sleeping with students. The guy pushes the crate into a quarry, just full of water, it sinks to the bottom. He's
Hopefully, wood and bodies float, but...
yeah, there's 3 bodies and a Yeti body and a wooden box. All of that should float.
They think it sinks.
The Yeti gets out.
End of story.
End of story. The final story is called They're Creeping Up on You.
This one is about a mean old man who I think works for like Wall Street, but remotely because he's a germaphobe. And he lives in like a secure white environment.
The guy's a lot like Scrooge. He's this rich, douchey dude. Everyone who's not rich is below him.
But he's dealing with some stuff.
It's bug problem.
He's got cockroaches.
Tengo el problema de las cucarachas.
They're big ones.
He keeps killing them.
We've got cockroaches and these aren't the good ones.
Yeah, our cockroaches are really cool. They'll like make us dresses and make food for us in the morning.
Us?
Yeah, do they not make them for you? I wear their dresses. Yeah, dresses. Eventually, a ton of cockroaches show up and just
Kind of
swarm him.
go inside of him. He goes inside of his little panic room. He's like, you won't get me in here. And then I cut to a little bit later, he's like maybe dead, but just cockroaches come busting out of him.
Yeah, good work, Tom Savini. You did well in this movie.
I don't know who that is.
He's the guy that does makeup.
The last story, we come back to the family, the little boy in his prized comic book. It's out in the garbage because that's where his dad put it.
And 2 garbage men are going through the garbage. One of them's Tom Savini, showing each other fun stuff from it.
You can buy stuff. It's like a catalog.
It's like Sky Mall, but for messed up kids. And they see that somebody already sent away for a voodoo doll. Guess who? Guess who?
Little boy.
And that dad, that was all about, that's why God gave us dads.
He's having some neck pain.
Because his son keeps stabbing him in the neck.
Love it.
And then it just sort of ends with the kid voodooing his dad a bit.
All right, well, follow our page,
Subscribe.
comment, follow us on Twitter at Bryan and Stacey,
Tell us what you think about our review, or what you thought about the movie,
or what you think about other movies, or if there's any movies you'd love to see us review.
or any secrets you have. Share them with us. The final story.